Value. What do we value? What do you value? What are our shared British values? The umbrella. Fairness. Inclusivity. Taking the piss. Good music. Squabbling over what is good music. Tolerance. London is said to be one of the most inclusive, tolerant cities in the world. And tonight, it has even more security over it than normal. I've never liked the word tolerant. It's passive-aggressive. It says, I tolerate you. Oh, how nice. How jolly decent of you to deign to tolerate me. It's a brittle word. And I think it's a word that just longs to have in front of it two other words. Too much. Heard the phrase too much tolerance too many times lately. Most recently, of course, from our storm-ridden leader of the Conservative Party in her capacity as current PM. She said enough is enough, something's got to change. We've been far too tolerant of extremism. What does she mean? As we're all getting soaked by this endless seeming storm of extremism on our shores, apparently we're all far too tolerant of it. Go on, she's talking about you. You're famous for your jihadi tea parties. Such lovely boys. Such a touching natural disaffection with the Western socio-economic ideal. Or is she talking about the system? The one she presided over for 7 years as Home Secretary, during which time she cut police numbers and their essential connection to the community. Intelligence. During which time she presided over immigration. During which time she presided over intelligence and the comings and goings of potential jihadis. Is she admitting culpability? Didn't sound like it, did it? Why would the Home Secretary of any nation cut police budgets? Theresa May did it for one reason. To follow a Tory story called austerity. It's not exactly a positive word, is it? It doesn't fill you with sunshine, the word austerity. But it does seem to appeal to something very British in us. Something fair and logical. The idea of, how do we get out? Steps down there. National Theatre, lovely bit of brutalist architecture, no idea how to navigate it in the dark. The idea that we pay our way and live within our means. What a jolly sensible idea that is. We shouldn't be spending more than we make. Well, this is just wise, isn't it? We should balance the books and look at bloody Labour and how they splurged money up the wall. Typical socialist is what the Conservatives would say. Well, how do we end up with a massive debt in the UK? And where the hell exactly am I going now? Down a pit, down a well of austerity, in the dark. We racked up debt because of one thing. The banking crisis. You know that. And governments all across the West bailed us out by throwing money at the banks in a desperate bid to save what? Nothing less than the entire economic system we'd all grown rich on the back of. That left us with a lot of debt owing, and the deficit between our repayments monthly and our ability to pay them got bigger. And so this story crept in all around Europe. paying it back. Now the Tories have another story, that they want to encourage entrepreneurship and business. So they've backed themselves into a corner when it comes to talking about one very important thing: tax. They can't mention the word tax to any potential Conservative leader and they look scared, because they are simply not allowed by credo to discuss the possibility of increasing taxes. And yet, what is the lifeblood of any nation's economy? It's tax. We have to have income. The tax base is our lifeblood. So what do you do to increase it? Well, you either increase who you're taxing and by how much, or you cut. So the Tories decided to cut. In order to save the bankers and not put off big investors from creating jobs and bringing their money here to the UK, the Tories decided the rainy day had come. And we had to start reining in our spending. And who was going to pay for that? The poor, the vulnerable, the lost in the dark. They would pay for the gigantic sums of money that went into saving the banks. Benefits were cut, police numbers were cut, nurses are cut, schools are cut, and everything that isn't nailed down gets sold off. This is fundamentally conservative. And yet so is the reason we ended up with a crazy banking crisis. Financialised capitalism. Not simply good enough to put people in economic working boxes, the quantifiable labour unit. We all went drunk on betting on failure, and the bubble burst. We all got into this mess. And now, in a very backwards looking general election in 2017, we are blaming everybody else. Theresa May cut officers, as the Home Office cut various things, as health cut hospitals, because they couldn't increase their tax base. But what is the other way to increase the way we have income? Because here's the thing, you know this, you're clever. A nation's economy is not the same as your home's economy. You do have to live within your means, or you simply rack up debt. A nation has something much more fluid. The tax base breathes. And there's one thing that our Prime Minister, as she currently is, has abjectly failed to deal with, as all the Tories have. It's a word called productivity. What is productivity? Well, this isn't the place to go into that. I need to do some reading first. But it's our ability to get bang for our buck. How much we get out of our time at work and the investment back on what we put in as the workforce of Britain. It's flatlined. So whilst everybody likes to say that we are doing better than so many other economies, the truth is the Tories have presided over nothing more than a desperate clinging on by the fingernails. Nothing more than that. The true big effects of what could happen to our economy if the clouds really do burst is scary. And some of the signs are already there, not to be gloomy, but they are. Defaulting on loans all over the place because we're living outside our means generally. Productivity is the key, but what drives that? It's the human factor. And this is what the Tories are, I would say, profoundly unable to touch. It is investing in the reality, pragmatically, of what makes you and I work, these fleshy, moist sacks of silly ideas. It's how we feel. There is nothing inspiring about this election campaign, except when I see it in the manifesto of the Greens and in the humanity of Jeremy Corbyn. What we value together as British people isn't as much security, though we do, or economy, though we do, for two main reasons. Little England always runs back to the Tories. Tell me you're not thinking of doing it for precisely those reasons. What we value way, way, way more is the people who serve in those capacities. The security forces here in London at the weekend were stunning in what they did, and yet they have had their budgets cut to crippling degrees. The health people who took on a war zone like that from Southwark stepped up and did it, though they're all exhausted because there aren't the staff, because our NHS is in crisis for one reason: underinvestment, being sold off. What do we have in our shared capacity? I'll tell you what we have in our shared capacity: people who wave, people who muck about on camera, people who join in. That stuff is what we have in common. It's moments, it's feelings, it's creativity and play. That's actually what we care about, but we don't know how to quantify it. The heroism, the bravery, the skill, the service, the professionalism of those who stepped up on Saturday night in London inspires us. There is the word we need to raise productivity. We need vision that inspires. We need ideas for economy and a vision of the future that gets us out of bed and says, yes, I can. I want to be part of that. And our current government has abjectly, profoundly failed at that. It is a joke at best. More than that, it's criminal, because poor people have suffered, sometimes tragically, because of this demented, broken, wrong-headed idea of austerity that makes us all feel like we're being fair, and I work hard so they should work hard. And it's so, that attitude, disconnected from the truth of your own humanity. Do not kid yourself anymore. Please stop kidding yourself. Turn your righteous anger into an open heart to other people. It's not snowflakery, it's pragmatism. It's what you are, it's what I am, it's what they are, it's what we are. And the story of our politics at the moment is incredibly myopically backwards looking, because it's desperate. Because there may be no place for a conservative view of the world 20 years from now. Because it's just fundamentally rooted in something wrong-headed. Class discuss. Please feel free to go away and take offence. We have a future ahead of us that will involve a lot more working for good, sharing ideas and resources, wanting to feel better about how we do things, wanting to put a quantifiable value on our work-life balance, on our time with family, on our creative projects, because they make us feel alive. They connect us as human beings, and the rest is, pardon the word, bollocks. Utter, unalloyed bollocks. A lie to make you conform. And as I've got older, I've got more into thinking this way, not less. It is a time of waking up, of finding the courage to admit where we feel that's a threat to me. Why did they allow all those people in? Why has this happened? Yes, robust defence, of course, but a pragmatism that understands how we really work because of who we really are. And who we really are is the people at the Ariana Grande concert. You might not like the pop music, but look at how that came about. And how it made everybody feel it was a healing time for those kids targeted by this insanity. Yeah, mate, you enjoying it? Oh, you should, mate. You see? It's all bollocks and it's all real. Those moments of connection make us feel better. And feeling better makes us more productive. And we need politicians who inspire us, who connect us to each other instead of trying to divide. I am sick of how tiny our politics is. Tiny. That. Stop it. Bloody stop getting involved with that bollocks. Wake up and see that the world is so very much bigger than that. The story going on, unfolding around you right now in 2017 is way, way bigger than you think. Please get out, taste the air, talk to people, listen to people from other countries, taste food you've never tried before, get out and understand just how alive you are right now. That's your job. Get productive and admit what it is you really value. Because there, you will find the meaning in your life. Value.